So this is one of the biggest things we're really going to work on, is getting rid of that click, that in-flight reset. So as I'm pulling the trigger, I'm immediately going to come off the gun, off the trigger, and find that predictable wall again. Cool deal? So you're like, how do we know where that predictable wall is? Well, we're going to show you. So as I'm doing this with this gun, right, this is a stock trigger, I'm going to take up all this slack, right? So right there is all the slack, right? So people would say, all that, I'm right on that predictable wall, right? But what I want to think about is, I'm going to tell myself to prep the trigger. Like, I want to prep a little bit more so the gun doesn't go off. When I do that, watch here. So I'm going to take up all the slack, and then I'm going to prep. What did you all see? A little bit of movement, right? And I'm going to say prep again, right? What do we see? A little bit more movement. I'm going to say prep again, and the gun's going to go off. So you think you might be there, but you're actually not. So I'm going to say wall. Now I'm going to prep. You saw the movement, right? I'm not pulling all the way through. I'm just prepping. I'm going to do it one more time. Prep, and it's there, right? So this one, it takes me about that one time. I'm going to get on it. I know from how this feels, if I prep anything else, it's going to go off. Prep and very minimal. That's me understanding this gun, right? Your gun might be different. You might take, oh, I'm there. Nope, I'm not. Oh, that's another one. That's another one. That's another one. And then the gun goes off. Okay. When we think about this trigger manipulation, this is the most precise one I want to do. Is I want to get right on that predictable wall, guarantee where my sights are, and I'm going to prep the trigger. So I'm going to prep, and the gun goes off. I'm not pulling all the way through. I'm just applying more pressure on the trigger itself. Okay, so we're going to do this. You guys are going to come in here, you're going to unload your gun, you're going to do the same thing. Take up all the slack, and you're going to hear us say prep, right? A little bit of movement there, y'all saw it. I'm going to say prep again, a little bit more, prep again, gun's going to go off. I'm cold, but you guys are going to understand your gun in itself, okay? We have to understand where that wall is, because if not, I'm not going to be right on the wall. I might be like, oh, I'm going to prep, I'm here, I'm going to go to that wall, and I'm going to do what? I'm just going to pull the trigger, because you're not going to understand where it's at. All right, so again, we're going to come in here. I want the gun to stay sort of at this position. Your partner's going to say, find the wall. You're going to do this, and then he's going to say prep, and the gun goes off. Cool? So prep it every time. Don't pull through it. Just prep it enough to where you think it's not going to go off. Does that make sense? So that way you understand what the gun's actually doing. Once that gun, that trigger breaks, so if I'm on the wall and I'm a prep, I'm immediately going to come off the trigger. Why? I'm not going to pin it. Why? What did we just show you? What did we just show you? If I'm used to doing this and pinning it and then racking, what am I telling myself to do when I go to shoot the gun?
Trigger reset.
I'm telling myself to pin. And what did we just prove? We never want to do it again, so we're not going to do it here. So this is where y'all going to work with each other, right? One person's going to have that gun in that position. The other person's going to tell them to get rid of all the slack and then prep the trigger. If the gun doesn't go off, tell them to prep again. Watch that finger and see a little bit of movement. That's a prep, okay? I don't want it to be a pull. I want it to be a prep. So you really don't want the gun to go off when you're prepping the trigger. Does that make sense?
Prep.
Yeah.
Prep.
Yeah. A lot more than what you think, right? So try to get to that wall now. Get rid of more of those preps that you can. All right. So now tell them.
No, it's more.
That was more like a
a
pull. Yep.
My fingers just way too.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Do it again. Get to that wall.
Wall.
Prep.
Yep.
Prep.
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 Prep. Prep.
Yep. And for you, it might be that 6, but now it's up to you to get rid and try to get on that as soon as you possibly can. So cool. And I'm watching this right here, just a little bit of movement. Cool. Now it's up to you to find right where that is. So one prep, the gun's going to go off. Try it again. So prep. Prep. See the difference? So now you're taking all those out, and now you're understanding the actual gun itself. Okay? All right, so this last one we're going to do it all together, but I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do, right? As we do this, we're going to do that same stuff, the same thing. He's going to call out prep, right? So I'm going to bring my gun up. I'm going to get to that predictable wall. He's going to say, find your predictable wall, right? And then he's going to say, prep, right? Do you think a gun might go off? Maybe, right? But do you think everybody's gun's going to go off when it says prep? Probably not. He's going to say prep again, right? 2 more might go off. 1 might go off. He's going to say prep again. When you shoot 1 time, when your gun goes off after that prep, immediately come off the trigger and come back to this compress ready so we know you've fired 1 round. All I want you to do is fire 1 round. Once we say everybody shot, then we're going to tell you come back up on target again. We're going to come up here. I'm going to lock my grip in, right? And Dallas is going to give me the command. So I'm going to come up. I'm going to find that predictable wall. Once I'm on that wall, I'm going to stand by and my grip's locked in. I'm going to wait for that prep command.
Prep.
Right? Gun went off, right? Why? Because I was right on that predictable wall. But where'd the round go? Exactly where it needed to go. So I'm going to do the same thing.
Watch his finger, guys. Get up where you can see his finger after he fires the round. Find the wall. Prep. Prep.
Gun comes, my finger comes completely off. Now, this is what I don't want to hear. So I'm going to come back up. Let's do it again.
Find the wall.
Oh.
Prep. Prep.
What was the difference?
Reset.
Y'all heard the what?
Click.
Click, right? So if you're the partner and you hear that, what do you need to be telling them? Get off the trigger, right? Get off the trigger. If you're having a hard time and you're pinning the trigger, try to think about your finger's going to, when the gun goes off, I'm going to beat the slide back with my finger coming off the trigger. Think about driving your finger to the front of the trigger guard. Because if I drive it to the front of the trigger guard, now I'm learning to get off the trigger, which we've proven pinning it is the worst. So if I get off the trigger, I can immediately get right back on it with either getting on the shoe or finding that wall again. Over time, I don't want the gun, I don't want my finger to come off the trigger, but this is going to break you from doing that. So if I'm up here, I'm going to find that wall like he's going to tell me.
Find the wall.
Yep. Watch my finger.
Prep.
What did I do? I immediately came off the trigger because we know now I'm not pinning. I can get right back on that predictable wall again, right? It's called in-flight reset. So this is really where it's going to help as that coach, really watching what they're doing and be like, man, get off the trigger. Get off the trigger. You guys are going to see with this manipulation, your rounds are going to be stacking on top of each other at this distance, okay? So immediately erase your finger off the trigger and then come back to that compress so we know everybody shot once, and then we'll tell you to set it up again.
Find the wall. Prep. 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 Find the wall.
All right, find the wall.
There's one.
He found it.
Prep. Prep.
Get off the trigger. Think about it. Get off the trigger.
Okay.
Prep. Get off the trigger. I want to get off that trigger as fast as possible. What did we see with accuracy just in doing that?
A lot better for all of us.
Drastic, right?
Through the roof.
We talk about 3 different trigger manipulations, and this is one of them we're going to drive home, right? This is the most precise trigger manipulation that you can utilize, right? When we come back, we're going to dive into the other 2, but we're really going to hit this one because it is the most precise one that we utilize.